The following is a hockey podcast out of Vancouver and Surrey, British Columbia. It'll only consist of a lot of puck talk and even more BS, or in actual words, banter and satire. Enjoy, and as always, go Canucks go.
Red Wings fans, you're going to want to hear this.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Or maybe Red Wings fans don't want to hear this. Who knows? All I know is that I got to hear Trevor Beggsy here on Locked On Canucks. No Kyle Bowen. Shout out to Kyle off in Mexico. One late note, today's episode was brought to you by FanDuel, baby. And the wild card round is here for losers who don't get that first round bye. And FanDuel is officially part of playoff mode. So visit FanDuel.com and grab your profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day, baby. Elias Pettersson bounced back. It has happened this season, whether the haters want to admit it or not. But the bounce back, of course, hasn't happened to the level that should make Canuck fans happy about where he's at. Kyle and I talked about it last night after a pathetic loss to the Buffalo Sabres, that you got to look at trading this guy, reset the culture, tear it down, move forward. I'm not sure if that's what they're going to do, but I'm trying to find the perfect suitor for Elias Pettersson. And I do wonder if the team that Elias Pettersson and the Vancouver Canucks are about to face in their next game, the Detroit Red Wings, could be the team that makes the most sense for Elias Pettersson. You look at the Detroit Red Wings, and there's a few reasons why I think this could work. You already have the number one center in Dylan Larkin, who's up there scoring goals. You also have a lack of a second line center. Of course, you got the Nate Danielsons of the world. You got the Marco Kaspers. But for the Detroit Red Wings, considering how wide open the Eastern Conference is this season, is this not the year to maybe take a stab at things? Are you truly going to build a cup contender with all the young guys coming up? I mean, you could if Danielson or Kasper hits, but those guys look more like second line centers than, bona fide first line talents. Your bona fide first line talent on that team in terms of centers is Dylan Larkin, who is 30 years old or almost 30 years old. Your contention window might be in the next 3 to 5 years. And if that's the case, going for a guy like Elias Pettersson could make some sense for the Detroit Red Wings roster. And look, you're talking about a team that's missed the playoffs in 9 straight seasons. 9 seasons for a city in Detroit that was used to winning, was used to championships, was used to cups. And they have a clear need for a second line center there. Again, it's the young guys, Danielson and Kasper, who aren't quite there yet. And it's the older guys like Andrew Kopp and JT Compher who really don't fill that role for the Detroit Red Wings. And I truly believe, look, I know there's a lot of Pettersson haters out there, but I truly believe that if Elias Pettersson goes to the right situation, he's gonna shine. He's gonna flourish. And I don't mean shine as in be, on 100-point superstar center again, but be a really good center. Be the best second line center in the NHL. And unfortunately, he plays in Vancouver where he's the first line center. And I'm telling you, man, he doesn't have the mojo. He doesn't have it anymore to be that guy. But being the second line center on a contending team, I think that's a different story. And I know Red Wings fans are probably going to scoff at this, but let's pull up the card here from JFresh. And you can see Elias Pettersson over the past couple seasons. We all know it here in Vancouver. The offensive game has absolutely fallen off a cliff. This guy was one of the best players in the NHL in 22, 23. 23, 24, he was one of the best offensive players up until, about 2 years ago today. And then has gone down a hill ever since. But look at the defensive game. One of the best defensive players in the NHL over the past 2 seasons. Going up against the top competition on a nightly basis. Staying in position. And he's got the ability to move up the ice too. He's got the ability to make plays with the puck. He's got the ability to score some sick goals. And I know, like, the Pettersson lovers in Vancouver, I know there's not many of them left, but they're all going to point to the fact that he doesn't play with an elite winger. Right? I mean, Evander Kane, Brock Besser, speaking of disappointments on this Vancouver Canucks team, That's not going to get it done. But if you look at the second line in Detroit right now, the way they lined up recently, you had Alex DeBrincat, Andrew Kopp, and Patrick Kane. Based on what I'm seeing, okay? Shout it to Daily Faceoff and Puckpedia for that one. I mean, Alex DeBrincat and Elias Pettersson could be something. You have a guy there that has 22 goals this season. And Patrick Kane, man, Patty Kane. He's got the experience too. But if you're the Vancouver Canucks, I mean, you need to desperately look at getting out of this Elias Pettersson situation. And hopefully, he could put together a string of games here leading up to the Olympics where he's looking like, no, I don't want to say the player of old because we've said that way too many times here, both in this market and on Locked On Canucks. But put together a bit of a point streak, look confident, continue to look good defensively. Because, man, oh, man, the people that don't watch the games on a nightly basis, they're looking at the stats, baby, the numbers. And those, as I showed you, are painting Pettersson in a favorable light. I mean, damn, even look at the goals, even the goals are, the 78th percentile. I mean, this guy is, maybe we'll unpack it a bit more as we get into the show here, but this guy's just not shooting the puck anywhere near the way he used to shoot it, including this season. And part of it's the separating ability. The speed and the separating ability isn't where it used to be. But Dan, the numbers are good, okay? Again, according to Hamalytics from a couple of games ago, since November 29th, Elias Pettersson, first in expected goals for, high danger chances for among skaters. I mean, damn, when I saw that, I was like, really? Elias Pettersson? That guy? But I was at that Boston Bruins game on Saturday night, and you could see he was feeling himself. Just the puck is rarely in his end of the ice, and unfortunately, he played with Jake DeBrusk and Linus Karlsson. Hey, Linus Karlsson, great story in Vancouver. That guy's not a top six winger on a good hockey team. Jake DeBrusk is not a good top six winger on a hockey team. I mean, this guy, if you could put him on your fourth line and have him play power play, that might be the perfect spot for him. Unfortunately, he's the Canucks' second highest paid winger. But in terms of a deal potentially working between the Detroit Red Wings and the Vancouver Canucks, and I know this is a divisive issue, but I'm telling you, if you're the Vancouver Canucks, you should be able to get a first-round pick and maybe a prospect too out of a team for Elias Pettersson. Like, this isn't just like an $11.6 million headache. I think there's going to be a team, and I don't know if it's Detroit, but I think there's going to be a team out there that sees Elias Pettersson as a good player. I mean, this guy's not Jesperi Kotkaniemi, okay? He's statistically one of the best defensive players in the NHL, and he can still post offense. He might not be worth 11.6, but how do you sweeten that? Maybe take a bad contract off the books. Get Elias Pettersson into a better situation. Then the Detroit Red Wings could do both of those things. Right now, in terms of their projected cap space, they're, I believe at the deadline, projected to have over 20 million bucks. Let's take a look. They have $25 million in current cap space. They're projected to have 13 million in cap space heading up towards the deadline. And hey, you want to talk about a throw-in for the deal? How about Z Buyem? His brother Shai Buyem is in Detroit as well. But I do think realistically, take back a player like JT Compher, Andrew Kopp and David Kampf had a baby. Take back a player like JT Compher or Andrew Kopp. Maybe Andrew Kopp, man. Get a good hard-nosed, hard-working guy in there into that locker room. Take on that bad contract. See if you can get a first and maybe even one of Casper or Danielson. But I think in Vancouver, it's more about get the draft pick, reset it, and get Pettersson off the books. I mean, it's just time to move on in Vancouver. And look, I'm trying to make it happen. I'm trying to see where there's a fit here. I think the Detroit Red Wings could make sense. You have a GM that, again, has shown that he's got a willingness to make it to the postseason. Right? He was in on the Quinn Hughes sweepstakes. He's desperate to get back there. I think he's made some weird win now moves, just adding some veterans to that team. And Elias Pettersson, he's not just a Ben Sherrod or an Andrew Kopp or a JT Compher. He is a guy that can help you win in the right situation. And playing behind Dylan Larkin could make some sense. And again, I think the Wings got to try to go for it while Dylan Larkin is still a good hockey player, because, man, oh, man, you are just betting on futures at that point. If you're betting on Marco Kasper and Nate Danielson to save your franchise. Let me know in the comments, the PD lovers, the PD haters, the Red Wings fans, the people who want to spit on my face. Is there something to be had here between the Detroit Red Wings and the Vancouver Canucks with an Elias Pettersson trade? And if so, what do you think that looks like? Let's shout out a sponsor here on the other side. Wanted to dive a bit deeper into Pettersson's game and talk about some other news and notes surrounding your Vancouver Canucks. That's all coming up here on Locked On Canucks. Before we get back to it, let's shout out our friends over at Indeed, baby. Again, the wild card round is here. The wild card round in the NFL for loser teams that can't win a first round bye, unlike the Seattle Seahawks. Kyle's Green Bay Packers fall into that category. We'll see if they're playing the Seahawks next week. Man, oh man. We'll find that out in a few days here. FanDuel, they're officially in playoff mode. Every game day during the NFL playoffs, FanDuel is giving customers even more ways to get in on the action, because right now, every NFL playoff game day, FanDuel users get a profit boost pack waiting for them inside the app. Each game day, you'll see a pack loaded with multiple profit boosts. You can apply it to the bets you like the most. Man, oh man, let's see how Kyle's Green Bay Packers are looking right now. I know the one game I noticed that the Rams 10-point favorites on the road of the Carolina Panthers. 10.5 now. That betting line has moved. The Green Bay Packers on the road against the division rival Chicago Bears. They are actually 1.5-point favorites. Oh, baby. If they win, they travel to Lumen Field in Seattle. Whatever bets you like to place, make sure you do so responsibly. All right, get your payroll in order, get your bankroll in order, and then go check out FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL, and grab your profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day. All right. We're back here on Locked On Canucks. Your Canucks every day, and I'm sorry, Canucks fans. You know, Kyle Bowen, I say it all the time, carries the show here on Locked On Canucks. And now you're stuck with me for a week. We'll see what kind of fun and games I can get up to here on Locked On Canucks. But before we, I want to break down a little bit more of Elias Pettersson's game and get into the news and notes. But before we do that, let's get to the people, baby. To speaking of people spitting on me, how about that hot tua on Trevor's face? Man, oh man, you know I've been punched, I've been slapped, I've been spit on me. It's all happened before, you know. So it's I'm used to it. Not the end of the world. Garrett Moss saying in the comments, the Lotto line was good. No, yeah, the Lotto line was good at one point, and now are any of those players still in the Canucks? You know, jokes aside, we're approaching the 1-year anniversary of the Miller trade, and Brock Besser and Elias Pettersson in that time frame. Man, oh man, has that been a disappointment, a major disappointment. We thought that, you know, JT Miller potentially leaving this team, you know, the drama's gone from the room. Maybe Brock Besser and Elias Pettersson can finally fulfill the destiny that they had together. And I guess 2018-19 is the year I'm thinking of when Pettersson was a rookie. And they looked like they were going to be one of the best duos in the NHL. And you fast forward to now, and these guys are nowhere near what we thought they would be. And quite honestly, they're at about the end of their prime. And it's funny, I wrote an article recently on Daily Hive. Check it out. It's time for the Canucks to take Jason Botchford's advice. And really the purpose of that was, if a player's not going to help you win a Stanley Cup, trade him. Trade him. At least explore it. See what you can get. And with Brock Besser and Elias Pettersson getting towards the end of their primes, I know they got big tickets left, but it doesn't look like they're going to help this team win Stanley Cups. And you got to see what you can get for them. But man, oh man, let's look at some of the numbers here since the JT Miller trade. I mean, Elias Pettersson missed a chunk of time. He has 38 points in 53 games. Brock Besser, 18 goals, 37 points in 71 games. Brock Besser, we talked about Elias Pettersson scamming the Canucks last year. That was a bit harsh. We lost some listeners for that one. I'm gonna gain some too, because not all people in this family are happy with Elias Pettersson. But Brock Besser as well. I mean, this guy, we all think he's gone. Should have traded him. We think he's gone, but you resign him and it's all good. Okay. We didn't trade him at the deadline. We resigned him. It's all good. This guy's kind of looking like he's scammed the Vancouver Canucks right now. 1 goal in his last 23 games, I believe it is now. And congratulations, give him the green jacket as well, because he actually leads the league in plus minus. And when I say lead the league, he has a league worst minus 22. League worst minus 22 for Brock Besser. Man, oh man, it's a rough go. A rough go for Elias Pettersson and Brock Besser. And more so Brock Besser. Because at least with Elias Pettersson, he's bringing something defensively. He's at least tilting the ice in the other direction, even if he lacks the game-breaking superstar element he used to have. And look, we got people here that are loving Elias Pettersson too. Some of them. One of them, Oliver Sholnick in the comments here on YouTube. Shout out to YouTube. Shout out to the podcast listeners. Oliver saying, I think we'll regret trading PD as the lowest point. Last month or so, 11.5 goals below expected. About a 930 PDO. Yeah, there's an element of Pettersson where he's been unlucky lately. Right? I think the Boston game was probably a good example of that. I know he scored one in that game. But overall, I mean, more pucks should be going in for Elias Pettersson, based on the numbers. I'm telling you by the eye test, I still think he's not getting help from his line mates. And because of that, there's not a lot of shots that are getting to the dangerous areas. And he's just lacking that step that he had before. But you see some creativity with the puck. Even in a relatively quiet game that he had against the Sabres last night, he still finds a way to wire it home. There's skill with this player. And that's why I do believe the Canucks need to trade Elias Pettersson, but they need to get a return for him. You can't just trade this guy to get rid of the cap hit. And you should be able to get something for him. I firmly believe that. And I'll do my investigative work here to try to scour some opinions around the NHL. But that's just how I feel, baby. Now, speaking of trading Canucks, another Canuck in trade rumors today. It's the one who's been in trade rumors since, the season started. And that's Kiefer the Reefer Sherwood, baby. Let's go to New York for this one. The Athletic reporting today that the Rangers are very interested in getting Kiefer Sherwood. Reunite Kiefer Sherwood with JT Miller. They seem to like their guys that have truculence. Is Brian Burke the shadow GM there? Is he shadowing Chris Drury behind the scenes? But the big thing working against a Kiefer Sherwood to the Rangers deal right now is the fact that they suck. They're bad. That's basically what the report said. But really, it was alluding to the fact that Igor Shesterkin and Adam Foote, both injured right now. The Rangers 3 points out of a wild card spot. And honestly, if the team doesn't win games before the Olympics, the report went on to suggest, after they talked about how much they are in love with the Reefer Madness over here, that if the Rangers have a bad month of January, they're more likely to sell and that they would have the approval of their ownership. And man, oh man, I know we feel rotten about the JT Miller trade and how everything played out, and so Canucks fans should. I mean, look, 2 of the 3 pieces they got, one's injured, can't make Czechia's Olympic team over Roman Cervenka. The other guy, Victor Mancini in the minors. The third, Marcus Pettersson. That's what you got for a guy in JT Miller who was one of the best players this city has ever seen, at least in terms of a points per game average. So Kiefer, the Reefer Sherwood. Look, the Canucks got to trade him to a team. I refuse to believe the contract thing is really legit. You got to trade this guy. You got to reset. You got to move forward. Please, Alvin, I'm begging you, man. Come on. We had a beer together, man. Come on, man. Man, oh man. Let's get to the other side. I'll touch on a couple other things about Elias Pettersson. Let's pump the guy up. Let's trade him to Detroit. Maybe he can suit up for the Red Wings tomorrow. Let's get to that. Let's get to a Cam Neely Former Canuck of the Week and some of your comments as we wrap up here on Locked On Canucks. All right, we're back here on Locked On Canucks. Your Canucks every day, part of the number one sports podcast network in the world. Man, what? Mama made it, man. Let's go. Yeah, Locked On Canucks. Apparently now the number one sports podcast network in the world. Lots of other good shows on the network. I hope we're among that here. Locked On Canucks. Look, Elias Pettersson. Let's trade him to Detroit. I'm down. Give me a first. Give me Marco Kasper. And in return, let's just take JT Compher, man. Like JT Compher first and Marco Kasper. I think it seems fair for Elias Pettersson, right? Maybe we attach a third round pick in there. What do you think? Pettersson in a third for a first, Marco Kasper, and JT Compher. Red Wings fans, come at me. Spit on me. I can take it, man. I think that's maybe that's even underselling. Maybe that's even underselling Elias Pettersson. Again, everyone's poo-pooing on the guy because he plays on one of the worst teams in the NHL, but this guy can still play the game. I mean, look, his wingers over the past 2 years as well. I don't like using it as an excuse, but man, oh man. Unless you're Connor McDavid or Leon Draisaitl, hell, even Nathan McKinnon right now, who has Martin Necas as his top winger. Most NHL players are good. They're not superheroes, and that includes Elias Pettersson. Look, one of his worst line mates over the past couple seasons have been Jake DeBrusk, and even in the last couple of games, like, you know, that DeBrusk-Carlson, Pettersson line didn't work against Buffalo, although it worked really well against Boston. I think that was more Pettersson and Carlson than anything else. And then Kane and Besser, I mean, man, oh man, it should work with Pettersson and Besser, but for some reason, it just doesn't. Let's look at it right now. So the Pettersson's top wingers this season in terms of ice time, it's Evander Kane, it's Jake DeBrusk, it's Connor Garland, it's Brock Besser. Like, these are the four best wingers on the Vancouver Canucks. Right, at least in terms of salary, I guess. The Canucks are trying to play him with the best players on this team. The problem is the best players on this team, they aren't very good. Like Connor Garland, the best of that bunch by far. Connor Garland and Kiefer Sherwood, the best wingers on the Canucks by far. And that's saying something, man. That's saying something when your best wingers are Connor Garland and Kiefer Sherwood. Now, again, revisionist history with the Canucks offseason. It was a bad one by this team. And I think they've pinned themselves into this situation where they need to look at resetting for the future. Man, oh man, that's all we're saying in the comments. Let's go for Ivar Stenberg. Speaking of first round picks, I haven't thought about this guy in years, and I'm going to drag you all down with me. Let's shout out to Cam Neely, former Canuck of the week.
I don't want to say goodbye.
All right, let's shout out another 32-year-old, man. Shout out to the 32-year-olds out there. Shout out to everyone out there, but extra special bias just because I'm also 32, man. And hey, man, I was just a baby-faced kid in high school with a little bit of pubes on my chin. Straight up, I mean, 2011 Stanley Cup run, all I could grow was the chin hair. And yeah, so I had some pubes on my chin when the Canucks drafted this guy, and that's Nicholas Jensen of Herning, Denmark. Nicholas Jensen. I didn't even realize he was still playing hockey, to be honest with you, but this guy is going to represent Denmark at the Olympics. Shout out to Nicholas Jensen, man. Dreams coming true. Dreams coming true for Nicholas Jensen. Now, I think it holds something a little bit different for Jensen, based on the fact that, over the past little bit, like this guy wasn't barred from competing in the Olympics. Heck, he was there in 2022 for Denmark. It doesn't look like he was there in because Denmark didn't qualify by the looks of it. Yeah, so he did play for Denmark at the Olympics in 2022. 1 assist in 4 games, again, at the Olympics, where NHLers weren't competing. But good for him. I mean, right now, he's actually dealing with a hand injury. He's only played 8 games this season, 2 goals in those games, playing for SC Rapperswil Jona Lakers of the National League in Switzerland. Again, shout out to Nicholas Jensen. The guy I hadn't thought about in a long time. A guy who was going to be playing at the Olympics. A guy who was once traded for Emerson Eaton. Shout out to a couple first round busts there. Man, oh man. Nicholas Jensen. The Olympics coming up. I'm excited for it, man. I'm excited for it. We now have 10 of the 12 teams that have been announced. I should mention, big news. I can't believe I didn't lead with this, but Lucas Reichel also makes the Olympics today for Germany. So there you go. There you go, Lucas. Another Canuck at the Olympics. That makes what is it? 6 Canucks now at the Olympics, and none of them include Filipino. And a lot of people came at me for that yesterday too, man. Speaking of coming at me, let's see everyone's coming at me as we wrap up here on Locked On Canucks. Man, oh man, I think someone's talking about the rumored return here. Look, I'm going to be completely honest. I don't have a source telling me that the Vancouver Canucks are, or the Red Wings are interested in Elias Pettersson. I'm trying to tie 2 and 2 together to see which team could realistically trade for Elias Pettersson. And the Wings are one of those teams on the precipice of the playoffs. They could do something this season in a wide open Eastern Conference, and they kind of need a second line center if they're going to do it. And I think Pettersson would fit in pretty damn well after Dylan Larkin. Now, if you want to throw another crazy scenario into the mix before we get out of here, what about a scenario where they trade Thatcher Demko and Elias Pettersson? Because I know the Red Wings have, good goalie prospects in Sebastian Casa and Trey Augustine. But one thing that they haven't been great at this season is defending and in terms of goals allowed. And again, the goalies this season, we got Cam Talbot and you got John Gibson, Canuck killer John Gibson. Maybe he could help, do some damage from the inside and help kill our odds of climbing the standings. But neither guy has been great this season. John Gibson, his save percentage has been marginally better, but he's been more erratic with a lower quality start percentage. Cam Talbot, an 888 save percentage. John Gibson 32, Cam Talbot's 38. With those guys in net, they have below average goaltending. I mean, what about a mega deal where it's Pettersson and Demko? If I say Pettersson's worth a first and a prospect, Demko's worth a first, and then you maybe take on JT Convert for a second, could you get 3 picks and a prospect out of Detroit for Pettersson and Demko? And they got the cap space to do it. You let me know in the comments if I'm off my rocker. But if a team is going to make a big push to make the playoffs and do something this season, I think the Red Wings could be that team. When you miss the playoffs for 9 straight seasons, and we're staring the abyss of it right now here in Vancouver. When you're staring down the abyss of that, you know what? You got to do something bold. Last comment of the day to Tim O'Donnell. So you're doing the Freeman approach to your reporting. Hey, man, Elliot Freeman. Stirring things up in Vancouver all the time. And hey, at least I'm honest, man. At least I'm not pretending to have a source in the situation. I've had a couple minor scoops this season, like a couple scoop-de-doos. But sometimes you got to use your intuition, man. Try to gauge the market, sense what's out there. Look at fits. Because, man, oh, man, do I want to talk again about the Vancouver Canucks losing the Buffalo Sabres last night? Do I want to talk about how practice today you had, what was it, DeBrusk and Carl, like Pettersson play? It's just, and was told not to read into lines. Like, this team's making me sad. I want to find ways to figure out the future. And I want to have some fun here on Locked On Canucks. I'm going to get out of here, though. Shout out to you for tuning to this episode of Locked On Canucks. I appreciate the hell out of all of you. If you like what we're doing here on Locked On Canucks, make sure you like and subscribe to the show on the podcast side. Go follow us and leave a 5-star review. I might try to get positive tomorrow, okay? Because there's one young buck on the roster who has surprised the hell out of me this season. Let's dive a little deeper into his game, unless I want to talk about something else. That's all coming up tomorrow here on Locked On Canucks.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks, Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.